I am Marwan Cameron, and this is The Conduit. All right, y'all. It is Monday. You know it's my favorite day. The day of the week that everything gets started, business is open, you can get things done, get things accomplished. Our vision, self-sufficiency for all Kitsap County residents. So things got to be open to, move toward self-sufficiency. It's 309 in Kitsap County, 45 degrees. It is our second podcast of the new year with Bremerton Housing Authority. And Matt is back from KCR. So let's go ahead and bring them on in. How are you fine folks doing this new year?
Good. How you doing, Marwan?
Well, I'm blessed and
Doing well.
ways. How are you doing, Katie?
Good. I might have a little bit of delay, but I'm here.
No worries. We'll talk and pause, and just go ahead and talk, and we'll catch on to it. So since Matt, you haven't been here in a while, we talked with Katie last week and talked about the holidays. So how were the holidays for you?
They were good. It was a good break, little recharge. I actually didn't work during the holidays, so I feel very lucky. I know a lot of people got to work, so I actually took a little bit of a break, a little rest. So it was really good. We got stuck in California for a little bit, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like we were sleeping in airports. We just got stuck with some family. So
Nice.
So that wasn't too bad.
Well, we're glad you made it back safe and you're able to join us today. And I know that you've got a ton of stuff to talk about. So we are going to jump in with Katie first with the Bremerton Housing Authority. So Miss Katie, Miss Sharp, what's going on in the world of BHA?
First of all, it's the theme of the day is network issues. So offices are closed today specifically because our network isn't working. So I can live on a sailboat. So that's where I am today.
Nice. All right. Shout out for that. What is it? Is it choppy out there? Is it moving around a lot?
Oh no, it's pretty good today. It's not sunny like yesterday, but it's pretty good.
Now, do you have to say something
as for
aboard?
What was that?
Do you have to say something special when you come aboard, like "Ahoy, matey"?
Usually our dog, which you might hear in the background, he pretty much has it down. He barks a lot.
Yeah. So he loves the boat.
Oh yeah, he was raised on it, so he's almost 3. So yeah, we've been living on it for 6 years.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, that is pretty cool. Well, let's jump in. So what's new? You said, BHA is closed, tech issues on a Monday.
Yeah. So as for what's new, we're just chugging along. I think the biggest thing I wanted to share today was just that we're working through it. There's a lot of requests. We're trying to get a lot of vouchers on the street, meaning a lot of shopping for housing that's pretty limited. So it's a process and everybody has to go through it. And it's not ideal for a lot of people that we have to go through all this paperwork, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. Now, we were also talking last week about rolling out the online access so that you can get the notifications for the Section 8 vouchers. Any update on that?
So it was going to roll out last week, but with some internal decision making, we thought it was best to roll out when we do our next wait list opening. So hopefully that will be next month.
Got you. Okay, so that's hopefully that it will open in February, right?
Yeah, putting timelines on things is difficult. We have a lot of people doing a lot of different jobs right now, and again, we're trying to get all these vouchers out that we are getting people off of our wait list, just to get them issued and orientated and things like that. So
absolutely. So I'm sure we will be one of the first to know when it looks like it's getting closer to time. It's like, yeah, it's looking like this thing is going to open up.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, and the February date, there's a lot of things in the works as far as getting information out to our partners by February 1st. So they can be ready as well.
Gotcha. So we will definitely stay tuned for that. And hopefully you guys will work through your tech issues because it is horrible to experience tech issues. I will tell you firsthand. And now you kind of get to see the other side of my studio there, Katie. As you can see there, this is kind of what it
I see. Yeah.
looks like. So Matt, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Now, I know you got a whole bunch of stuff for us, so we're gonna take our time and unpack it all, and I'm gonna try to type in the chat and talk at the same time and get this stuff in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, are we ready to go down the rabbit hole?
Let's go.
Okay. Well, first, before we get into our KEPA programs, the eviction prevention, I wanted to announce another good news of more money coming to Kitsap. So it looks like our not looks like, we know our CHG program is going to be expanded, and tentatively it looks like it's going to double for 2022. So that's really, really good news. And why that's good news is that that's money for our unsheltered folks, for our homeless clients. And so the new money coming in, there's going to be a big shelter or focus on unsheltered, so folks in encampments, folks that are sleeping outside, and what the programs will be rapid rehousing. That's what that money will be used for. So that's short to medium term rental assistance, helping folks exit homelessness. They get case managed for a bit, and then hopefully they'll be able to support the rent on their own or move into a subsidized unit if that's what appropriate for them. So that's really, really positive and exciting. We also, with that, we have one of the complaints that we get a lot is, and rightfully so, is there's not enough housing resources for the community. That's something that we all have dealt with, but really for unhoused folks. So one thing we did starting last year at the end of 2020 is we started differentiating the programs. So even within rapid rehousing, we have a few subtypes. So we have our move-in only, we have kind of our regular rapid rehousing, and then we have a rapid rehousing plus. And so it's kind of for the different levels of vulnerability, depending on what clients need. Because some clients they don't need full on case managed, right? They're kind of ready to go. They just need a deposit. Other folks have serious issues that it's going to take a lot of help and support in order to get housed, in order to help them move forward. So what we've been really proud of is for most of this year, for 2021, we've had our rapid rehousing move-in only program open pretty much continuously. And that's something that we're hoping to continue, especially with this expansion of money, so that folks they know they can come to KCR and at least get move-in costs. If you're homeless and find a place, you can get move-in costs if you come to KCR. It's very frustrating when you have a place and then you come and then, we have no program available. So some of our more intensive programs, because they're more money and they're more time, we can't keep those open continuously, just the nature of funds. But at the very least, that's going to be our goal. And so far, for the most of 2021, we've been able to do it, and we plan on continuing that in 2022. So, but again, this is not for folks that are at imminent risk, that are couch surfing. These are for folks that are in a shelter, exiting a treatment program, fleeing domestic violence, in a place not meant for human habitation and an encampment. Those are the folks that will qualify for this program for move-in costs if you are able to find a place, and that's all you need. So we're really excited to talk about a little, before we get into the KEPA stuff, CHG and homeless service expansion. Really, really good news. We've had a lot of great investment in eviction prevention with the KEPA program. But one thing that we haven't seen as much of, that I've been kind of advocating for, is we also need an expansion in our homeless services, because the pandemic is also putting pressure, right? More people are entering homelessness. Just as many people from poverty are now entering the eviction prevention category. So we also need to ramp that up, and it looks like we will have a sizable investment. So,
all right, Matt, absolutely. So let me cut you off there really quick. So we got a couple people that got some questions in there. I forget sometimes you talk so fast, like, all right, it's like double Dutch. I'm trying to jump in there.
Let me slow down.
It's like, man, Matt is like Twister. So Bailey is saying, please post the link to that information. Shout out to him. And then Dawn Michelle is saying, are you talking about the Pendleton place when you mentioned providing help for those without permanent addresses in 2022?
All good questions. So the link for, in order to get the move-in only, or to get onto the rapid rehousing program, that's all through the Housing Solutions Center. So the best way to access them, 360-473-2035, to make an appointment. You can go on our website too, kcr.org, for more information, but everything is referred through coordinated entry. And so if they make sure to screen that you qualify, and then they can give you some information about the program if you do qualify, and then you can take that to the landlords and start the process. But you do need to get screened first by Housing Solutions Center, and they refer you on to the program. And the idea of that,
360
473-2035.
2035. All right, thank you for that. And that's Housing Solution.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how I know I probably am talking fast. I'm just excited, but I'll try to dial it back a little bit.
You're all good.
So that's how you get in touch. And the idea of that is not to make extra steps. The idea of that, most counties have a Housing Solutions Center. It's the general name for it is coordinated entry. But the idea of that is to have one place where everyone can go for resources, right? So that's and Housing Solutions Center let you know all the resources that are available at any given time. For especially if you are unhoused, they'll let you know about the shelter availability. They'll let you know about our program. And so that's why we refer everyone there, is because they'll get the full gamut of the resources that are available to them. Especially they have, harps and roast money that's for mental health and substance use, people that are experiencing those issues. So that's how you access those pot of funds. And sometimes it's a combination. And so that's why it's beneficial to go to coordinated entry to kind of see your whole list of options and then go from there. But to answer the first question, that's how you access the program, is through Housing Solutions Center. And the nice thing is Housing Solutions Center and our program, we're all under the KCR umbrella, the Kitsap Community Resources. And so the Housing Solutions Center we're located at the same spot, 1201, if you want to come in person, 1201 Park Avenue in Bremerton. Or you can call to do a virtual appointment or a phone call appointment if you prefer.
Another question we have is, upon receiving assistance, is that information public access?
No. So we take client privacy really serious. So that information we do not reveal publicly. So where that information is stored is, right now we have databases, internal databases, which only stay internal. Only our employees have, actually only our department, Housing Solutions Center, Rent Assistance, and housing team. We have internal database, which tracks folks. That's so we can just know where people are, what program they're part of. So that's one place your information is stored. The other place your information is stored is in a paper file, right? That's required by our grants. We need to keep track of what we're doing. We keep track of our case management activities. We keep track of information that you want us to keep track of. Some people, we help get birth certificates, that type of stuff. Our case notes. So there's an actual file that your information is in. And then the third place that your information gets stored is actually optional. That's called HMIS. That's the Homeless Management Information System, if I'm not mistaken. And that is a nationwide database. And you can opt out of having any personal identifying information in there. So if you're not comfortable with that, you can opt out, and then we'll just put a number in there for you, and we won't put any of your personal information. That information is pretty segmented. Only folks within our county can access that information, and it's only folks that have gone through training. It's like a confidentiality, kind of how it works training with the Department of Commerce that can access that. But it's really helpful because then we can see what other services you're using. So if you're at Salvation Army or whatever it is, or if you're accessed at another point. But again, you can opt out of that if you want. So when you're in Housing Solutions Center trying to sign up for assistance, you can say, nope, I don't want to be part of that. Internally, we have to keep track of some information just because we need to know where you're at and just actually make our operation. So that's unavoidable, but that information just stays internal at 1201. And that was the first two, a little digital database and then our paper files. So that's the 3 places they're stored, none of which is publicly accessible. Any of the information that we post publicly is all de-identified, and that's mandated, I think, across the state, really, for homeless providers.
And, I wanted to jump in there and just, Katie, if you want to, add, go ahead and jump in, or if you get a question, just jump on in there.
No, I appreciate it. I actually really enjoy listening to Matt talk about the program because I feel like we don't hear it enough. And any way we can get some of this information out as make it less kind of scary and a little bit more accessible, I'm really enjoying this conversation.
I appreciate it. Now, Matt, you also said something that kind of pinged my ears a little bit. You mentioned that you can help with birth certificates. Now, do you help pay, or is it just helping with the process?
For folks in our program. So again, most of our flexible, we have a little bit of flexible dollars for folks that are being case managed. So if you are part of our program, I wish I could offer it publicly. It's all about resources. We just don't have the staff to publicly offer it. But if you are part of one of our case managed programs, like if you're with KCR Rapid Rehousing Program or any of our transitional programs, our shelter program, then yes, you can ask your case manager, say, especially if it's going to help get you into another housing situation. Like sometimes when we're helping folks apply for a Bremerton Housing Authority unit, they need birth certificates. And so in order to get them eligible for that unit, we need to collect birth certificates. So that's when we'll help them get birth certificate. Or sometimes it's license information for a job, that type of stuff, right? It's usually when a document prevents them from getting something that would help them achieve their stability goals, their housing stability goals, then we can pay for it.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And if you wouldn't mind, Bailey asked if you could post that link. And while you're typing that in the private chat, I'm going to put up the flyer that you sent me so you can talk about that before you go over the numbers.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we'll definitely get to that flyer. The link, I think she's just referring to the Housing Solutions Center. Am I understanding that right?
I think that's, when you were providing the information, the first question Bailey asked was, please post the link. So I think that might be what it is regarding.
Okay.
Bailey, if it's...
Yeah, I think that was what it was.
Yeah, I'll put that. It's kcr.org/housing, but let me put that in the chat so you can post it.
And then Dawn Michelle says, are there outreach workers going out to the encampments?
Yeah, there are. So Housing Solutions Center does a great job. We've got a few programs that have done outreach. Predominantly right now, though, given that Housing Solutions Center has really been helping with the KEPA program administration, the dominant program right now. Some of our traditional resources, the Housing Solutions Center, we've had to divert to the eviction crisis, but that's why we're very thankful for the 0.1%, because they've allowed us to fund our ROAST program, which is Recovery, Outreach, and Stabilization Team. Part of that is high barrier case management, but the other part is outreach. So we have 2 folks that regularly go around to the treatment centers, They used to go to the jail, it all depends on COVID. Sometimes they'll go to the hospital. And they'll also go to Pacific Hope and Recovery. They'll go to some of the Kitsap mental health facilities. But part of that is in their loop is going to encampments. So multiple times the county will let us know encampment's been identified, and then we'll send outreach folks, Housing Solutions Center navigators. So they will go out to encampments. And then we're hoping to actually expand the outreach to encampments in 2022. So that's potentially hiring. So I'll let you know when it's actually open, Marwan, but we're looking to hire 2 more outreach folks to actually really spend more time with encampments, because we know that's a growing issue. And the county thinks they've found some funds to assist with that. And that's another piece of, we're ramping up the outreach, and then also the CHG, our money for folks that are in encampments, we're ramping up as well. So yes, we have folks going out to the encampments, and that's a really important really important part of what we're doing. And then and the encampments themselves are, all very, very different. There's a variety of issues that each of the folks there kind of want, and so it's definitely complicated. But thank you for asking that question. And Marwan, I think there was an original question too that I'm looking at the chat. Are you talking about Pendleton Place when you mentioned providing help for those without a permanent address? So no, we're not talking about Pendleton Place, although Housing Solution Center was assisting with the referrals. Like everyone that they pulled had to come through the Housing Solution Center, but I was not talking about that without a permanent address. I believe when I was mentioning that, I was mentioning who is eligible for our rapid rehousing programs. So that would be folks that are in a place not meant for human habitation, or that essentially unhoused folks. That's what I was talking about. So they're eligible for our rapid rehousing program. A lot of folks were eligible for Pendleton Place, but I believe they've already pulled the first, or pretty much all the first round of names. And so I don't think there's more referrals going to Pendleton Place. So to follow up with that question, or at least we're not actively referring to Pendleton Place. Pendleton Place is fantastic. We're really excited. And if you don't know, Pendleton Place is run by Kitsap Mental Health. So I'm not the expert on it. I believe it's around 80 beds and it's permanent supportive housing. So it's something our community has desperately needed for a long time. But it is that wasn't the program that I was referencing. But it's a very, very important program, and one that will folks that are get accepted into it. But again, that's 80. Our point in time counts are much higher than that, 400 or 500. So we still have a lot of work to do outside of Pendleton Place.
And do you know when that is supposed to open? I thought it was like the end of this year. Is that like July, August, around there?
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard. I don't want to speak for Kitsap Mental Health, but I've heard tentatively it might be this year, but I don't want to make any claims about that because I definitely don't know the details.
Yeah, it's moving right along.
And can I add to that? Because
oh yeah, go ahead.
With Bremerton Housing Authorities, actually, I don't have as much information as I should, but the housing team is working closely with Kitsap Mental Health to actually manage that property. And we're also providing project-based vouchers, so 60-something project-based vouchers to make sure that that it's funded throughout, not just to build it, but to keep it going. So there's a lot of work going on in there, and I don't have a date, but I have heard the same Matt had heard. So it's this year sometime.
That is fantastic. That deserves a horn there. Definitely going to make a dent for sure. We got another question. I'm in the encampments often. What information can I tell them about getting housing? Great question.
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. The always the first step that we tell folks is get to Housing Solution Center, because they need to get screened. They need to go through the process in order to be eligible for the resources. Now, a lot of folks are on that. So if you're in the encampments often and want to reach out to Housing Solution Center, and have them come out, that sometimes is a possibility. So you'd reach out to Jessica Martin. She's the manager. So that's jmartin@kcr.org. So if you're like a service provider and you're in the encampments and you want Housing Solution Center to come out, definitely reach out to her. And that might be a way to link up. As far as information, yeah, it depends on everyone's individual case, but you can definitely let them know, like right now, there's our move-in only program. So if they are accepted into a place, we could pay whatever they need to get in for that first month. It's not ongoing assistance. That's why we call it move-in only, because it's just that move-in only. We know a lot of folks, their cases are a little more complicated than that. It might require more. And so I know that's why some people don't take advantage of that. But there is money right now from our roast and harps programs. So those programs are open. So if they have mental health or substance use or are trying to get into treatment, that might be something to work with Housing Solution Center for, or finding housing when they, or funding for housing when they get out of Oxford houses. So I think that might be a good place to start for our encampment folks, is linking up with Housing Solution Center to get screened. You can let them know that KCR has the Rapid Rehousing Move-In Only program open, if they're interested in that program, or there's our Roast and Harps program are also open currently. So that's follow up with Housing Solution Center in order to access those programs.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And you got all the answers today, Matt. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, these are really questions. I'm glad people are tuning in. That's awesome.
It's a new year.
And thank you for who that was that's in the encampments. I mean, we need all that we can get. So I'm not sure who that was, but
that's Dawn Michelle.
Oh, Dawn Michelle. Great. Fantastic.
Absolutely. All right. So that's all really good information. She says, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. And, tell folks, Dawn, to tune in. The information they hear may be relevant today. It may be relevant next week, or a friend or a family member may need the information that they hear and they can pass it on. So, definitely share it out. Every Monday at 3 p.m. we are on here for sure. So do you want me to show the flyer?
Can I say something, Marwan?
Oh, please, please, please.
I know I'm working with this delay. It's quite an intense delay, so I appreciate it. I spoke with Matt last week, was it, Matt? Week before? Can't recall. But something interesting that you had shared was regarding how you get services or to the right place when you call KCR. So mentioning something like specifically like, I'm homeless, I need help. Instead of trying to decide, oh, look at all the programs Matt just listed, do I remember them and tell them what program I need? So yeah, my question is like, what is the easiest way?
Right, Matt, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, so yeah, Katie, you're absolutely right, and thank you for bringing that up, because Katie and I had a good conversation about making sure clients get the right resource. And back to like Dawn Michelle, is I think definitely education is power, and letting know what programs we have available. But what Katie was saying is like, it's we don't ever expect the client to know, oh, I qualify for Rapid Rehousing Move-In Only. Like, let me get that. Like, it's great to let them know that there's move-in resources available, but the best thing is just getting connected with Housing Solution Center, and we'll let you know, right? That's why that's why we're here. That's why we're funded, is to, especially Housing Solution Center, to know all the resources that are available for you at any given time. And so definitely don't want the clients to feel like that they have to remember stuff. And it's definitely for outreach folks like Dawn Michelle. You can always call us and we can tell, and we'll definitely be happy to walk you through. But definitely from the client perspective, is just, it's better to let us know what's your particular situation, rather than, let me see this or I need this program, or I need that program, right? And maybe, and that's great that if you're educated with the programs, but also, our navigators know a lot, and we can make recommendations, and ultimately the client will still get to decide, right? We're just want to put out all the programs so that the client can make the best decision, rather than the client coming in and saying, oh, I know this program. And that's great that you've heard about it, but at least give the other options a thought, right? Or maybe that program closed, but maybe think about this program that you're eligible for. So thank you so much, Kate, for bringing that up, because we do find if clients come in more with here's my situation, what's open at this given time, sometimes works a little better than saying, oh, this program, especially if that program is closed, or if they're kind of dead set on going for a specific program. So we definitely love education, but I think a nice approach is coming in with that kind of open mind of, okay, what's available at this given time, given that programs open and close, and that might head off some frustration. So yeah, thank you, Kate, for bringing that up. That's really awesome.
And programs change, also, right? Or, you're out of funding. So someone comes in and it's like, well, there's supposed to be this program. It's like, well, the funding is ended for this, but maybe there's that. So yeah, stay connected, ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's been, super helpful and very outgoing and going the extra mile to that end. Don Michelle, the person that we were speaking about earlier, will be receiving a phone call from KCR either today or tomorrow. So, that's kind of how that goes, that connection. Aaron is asking, how is communication with the client kept after seeing Housing Solution Center?
Oh, such a good question. And yeah, I can tell Aaron's plugged in because that's definitely a question that is something that we've kind of talked about ongoing. So it really depends. It depends on kind of the program. So we have our outreach folks, which are working with folks. That the navigators themselves don't keep a caseload. So in the broadest sense is that we're not necessarily keeping a caseload and then responding to folks as they come in and kind of being responsible is maybe a better way to say it. So if someone just comes in, the navigators aren't responsible for getting that person housed, right? A navigator is really at that point of time what's available. However, this is why I say it depends. In some cases, when we're doing outreach and the navigators have seen the same person kind of, they know they're on the radar, right? They know who they are. Then they'll still make a referral even down the line if something's not available. But they're not necessarily responsible for keeping up with that client, like weekly updates with what's available. So I think that, it's a really good question. But in summary, it depends on the program. But once someone comes in for that, their application is active for the entire year unless they get housed or move to a different program. But HSC doesn't close them out till the end of the year. So they do it by the year. So if you come in like January, in March or April, a program opens up, then you're still potentially eligible for that. Now, the shelter list works a little different. So if folks are kind of waiting for shelter, then they kind of stay on that list and the HSC will reach out as soon as shelter beds become available. So that's why I say it's a little complicated depending on program, but the shelter beds, they're HSC very active with getting through and saying, okay, here, you're next, you're next, you're next, you're next. And then you only get off that if they can't get in touch with you and they have a whole communication process. I don't know that off the top of my head, so I don't want to speak on that. But so I generally what I would say is with clients, like if you're really, you can check in with HSC multiple times and say, hey, what's going on? But the HSC is generally not have a caseload, but they do have your file active for that year, and they can make referrals throughout that year for programs that open up. If that makes sense. But obviously, as Marwan and I've talked about, whenever you're more active with programs, like especially rapid rehousing, so like the rapid rehousing move and only program is an example of that. So say it's open, you get the paperwork. At that point, you still have to find the landlord, so you're eligible for it, right? Maybe you have employment right now, so you know that you'll be able to qualify for a place. But HSC is not going to help you necessarily find the place other than we have a landlord list. We can make some general recommendations, but they're not going to be a case manager and walk with you side by side to find a place, right? It'll be up to you to go find the place and then come back in, and then they'll refer it to us, and then we'll find it. Now, if they refer you back to a program like one of our Rapid Rehousing Plus program or one of our more in-depth case managed programs, then a case manager, now you're on a case load. And then someone will walk through the entire process with you, depending on the program. But most of our programs, they'll walk through the process of getting you leased up and kind of from start to finish. But that's if you are referred to a program. So I don't know, Marwan, that was a lot of information. I don't know if I was clear on that. That's what I was going to say. It's a really good question because it gets to the heart of some of the weaknesses of the program, but some of just the overwhelm of the program as well.
Well, what I would say in summary is ask questions, ask and ask again. And for those that are tuning in to the podcast, one, what I do is I'll rewind it I'll put it on slow so I can make sure I can capture all the information. And when you send this out to someone or share it with someone, have them do the same, right? So just replay it as many times as you need to capture the information. If you have questions, I'm putting phone numbers that are there in the chat so you can reach out and get your questions answered, right? And that
Yeah,
really,
and if you're ever, so Jessica Martin is the manager for Housing Solution Center. So yeah, if you're a client, you feel like confused or lost, you can always reach out, to Jessica. She takes calls, clears things up. So that's if there's ever an issue of like, hey, what's going on? You can call that HSC number, or I think I gave Jessica's email early, jmartin@kcr.org. So that's always, if you're just lost, definitely reach out to a manager.
absolutely. Let me pop that back up there in the chat. Man, a lot of good questions today, Matt.
Really good. Man, it's growing. This is great.
And there is Jessica Martin's information there, jmartin@kcr.org.
Yep.
Just take a note of that for your information. All right. So it looks like we've answered all the questions in the chat. Do feel free to keep them coming. We'll just jump in and I'll stop Matt and ask the question. And as always, it's always good to put out there may be questions that they can't answer, and they'll reserve the right to gather some information and then reach back out. So feel free to do that. And if it's personal information, they may not address it, on live air, right? Unless it's like general information that they can answer, but they'll contact you offline. So just keep those things in mind. But man, this is great information. So what do you want to go over next? There's so much. You are a cornucopia, a gaggle of information today.
There's so much. Should we start with some numbers? Is that a good place?
I love my numbers now.
Okay, so I've got some numbers here for comparison. So this is a good metric of kind of how fast we're moving. So these numbers are not unique households. I didn't have enough time to gather unique, but hopefully later on I'll try to include those. And so what I mean by unique is we only count a household once. So these numbers, there's going to be some duplicates, not because we've just put duplicate numbers in there, but because a household might get helped with rent, with their gas, and with their electricity. So that's what. So these are really you can think of them as payments, or kind of as a total kind of application number, right? So we've done these lists of payments. So that's here. So it's kind of a total of what we have paid. So we really look at both. We look at unique and we look at total, because we want to make sure we're helping people holistically. And holistically means making sure they get caught back up with their utilities, not just their rent. So we're looking at both. So that's where we're at right now. So I just want to be that clear, is that this is not this is duplicated numbers, but not out of mistake, but because they have we're counting right now the assistance that they've gotten with electricity and with the rent. Does that make sense, Marwan?
I like it.
Okay. So October, I'll go all the way back to October for comparison. So October, we processed 176 applications and we spent over $800,000. So that's kind of, and you remember that's when we were still trying to hire people, and we were that's when the wait list was really growing. So that was kind of a low point there. We were in the midst of training a bunch of folks. And during that month, the wait list was 74. Our legal partners were 23 of those cases. And our outreach partners.
I got to fix an error, because I put 80,000 and that should be 800,000. So
800,000. Yep.
That and fix that, because that zeros mean things,
Yep.
Zero's a real number.
Yep.
let me go ahead and fix that, because that's real right there. All right. So October, 176 applicants, 800,000 plus. And then you were saying.
Yeah, and then so the ones that came off our wait list and through HSC, that was 74.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 74 payments there. Of that 176, 23 were from our legal partners, Kitsap Legal, Dispute Resolution Center, and Northwest Justice Project.
All right.
And then 79 of those cases were from our buy and for outreach partners. Gather Together, Grow Together, Hope 360, Surviving Change, Mount Zion, Partnering for Youth Achievement, Kayak, and Foundation for Homeless Poverty Management. So they got 79 process. So you can definitely see our outreach partner prioritization. The legal and the outreach partners were combined together, we're about 25, 26 over the wait list, which again, I've talked about one is good. We're so proud of that work, but as a consequence, that took away from us getting some of the wait list, right? All of our actions have reactions, right? So then we were trying to balance that out a little bit. And so then in November, we did ramp up. So, and I think I told you November's a little bit ago, but it was like a little earlier. So this is a little bit more accurate because I think we had a podcast like right before November ended. So a few more slid in. So November was 158 total. So we dropped again a little bit. So we had 176 in October, we had 158 in November. But interestingly enough, and I think this is because we had more legal cases, the amount of money we spent, that's why you got to kind of look at all of this. So we still had a pretty productive month. We spent just shy of $1 million. We were just under $1 million in November spent.
Wow. I'm gonna do like 990,000 plus. How's that? Sounds like it's pretty close.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Nice.
And so of those 158, 68 of them were from the wait list and Solution Center. And this is the big number, is the legal service. I think I mentioned this before. The legal services jumped up to 50. So in November, that's when we started seeing a bigger surge of evictions, and a lot of those cases were significant sums of money. Our outreach partners dropped a little bit to 40. And that was, again, when we were kind of doing a little bit of a shuffle. We were training some folks trying to get on board.
Mm-hmm.
And then in December, so here's some really good news. So now we're to December. So we're back up to 180 processed. So we're back up to where we were in November. And December, we had a lot of people taking vacation, right? It's the holidays. So we're really excited to see where we are in January, because we jump back up despite having, only 3 weeks, to actually really start moving. The other exciting thing is we spent 1.4 million, a little over 1.4 million. So we're increasing the amount we spend too, which is good as well.
Man.
So that is December. So really positive. We're trending up. December was a lot of that training, getting staffed up has really been effective. And for December, we pulled 70 off the wait list in housing and from Housing Solution Center. 38 of those were from legal. So legal dipped a little bit in December. We think some landlords didn't want to evict during the holidays. But that's interesting that the legal folks went down. And then also really proud is we brought back up our buying for outreach partners to 72. So that's about even as the wait list, 70, and our outreach partners 72. We want to still expand our wait list a little bit from that, because we still have a large wait list, over 500. Right, it's still up there, so we really need to start getting that down. But we think we're on the right track. So I really hope we can continue to do the weekly numbers as well, but throughout this month, and then the first part of the month, I can give you the monthlies. But I thought it'd be a good look to kind of see where we are, kind of the trajectory. So I think it's a really good trajectory. And we're definitely we're ramping up, which a lot of the hiring and training. And so a big shout out to Carla Foster's the Rent Assistance Program Manager. She's really been managing all the operations since December, and deserves a lot of credit for continuing to get our numbers up. And that team is now finally fully staffed. So it's Carla's the manager, and we have 9 navigators now. So we have 9 navigators just processing rental assistance. Yeah.
And you're breaking down these numbers quarterly, but to put that into to frame it, that's $3 million in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
Of folks that needed eviction assistance here in Kitsap County. That's a lot of money, a lot of help. And so, KCR is definitely asking for your grace and patience as the wait list still over 500. As you can see, all of the people that have been helped, the need is so high. And not our listeners, but folks, if you don't see it, you don't really understand it, right? We have a homelessness issue here that we've got all these folks that are in crisis, but then we have a lot of folks that are in their homes that we're trying to prevent from falling into that scenario, and they're hanging on this precipice of this can go either way, right? And so 3.1 million, all of these folks that are being helped, all of these agencies that are doing the best they can as fast as they can, coming together in formats in these ways and doing different and new things to be service providers in a more holistic way, and just try to answer the crisis, right? And I don't know if we'll ever get ahead of it, but try to cut into it a little bit, right? So again, there is 3.1 million. I've got a, how about I give an applause? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of effort. We definitely appreciate KCR, all the buy-in for us, Bremerton Housing Authority, and everyone else that are boots on the ground out there helping and assisting to make this thing a reality. Katie, did you want to jump in there?
No, I just thank you for bringing those numbers. And I just had a follow-up question about there's a wait list, but it's still open, right? They could still apply, and the easy way to get these KEPA funds to actually apply online.
Yeah, absolutely. So same place. I put it up there, kcr.org. And I think Marwan had it go on past before too. Same place for Housing Solution Center. That's also where you go to apply online. So Katie, lovely question. Thanks for bringing us back. You can tell you're a communications manager. How do you apply? How do you do? Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, apply for this program online. Yeah, kcr.org. And Marwan has the link on the screen right now, Rent Mortgage Assist. That's how you start the application process. Once you do that, that lets us know you're interested. We'll send you the full application securely through we use a program called PandaDocs. And then you can send that back and sign it digitally. You don't even have to come in, and that will get you on the wait list right now.
And then is it still true, Matt, that if they are going through a buy-in for, then they get priority?
That is true. We are still prioritizing. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's gone really well. We've consistently are above our racial equity goals. And we can even look at those numbers, kind of a snapshot.
Oh, yeah.
Marwan. Not I don't have them ready this time, but maybe next time or the time after we can dig into some of those numbers, because I think and again, and I love what you said too, Marwan, of we don't accomplish anything alone. Like, the only reason we've been even remotely able to do what we've done is the partnership of everyone who Marwan just mentioned, all the distributors, Housing Kitsap, Coffee Oasis, us, and Bremerton Housing Authority, the KEEP outreach partners, Surviving Change, Hope 360, Foundation for Homeless Poverty Management, Gather Together, Grow Together, Kayak. Who am I missing? Zion, Partnering for Youth Achievement. Yeah. So we have got
poverty management.
Yep. Foundation for Homeless Poverty. Yeah, there it is. And then we have our legal partners. We have the Kitsap County Courts. We have Dispute Resolution Center, Northwest Justice Project, Kitsap Legal Services. And then even the Department of Commerce provides us a lot of technical, when we can't answer questions, we got to go to someone, and Department of Commerce does a lot of work helping us interpret the program. Even other counties, we've reached out to Skagit County to see how they're doing it, to kind of help improve ours. So other counties have been very generous with their time to help us to try to improve our process. So the list goes on and on and on of all the people who invested in this. And it's a really very grateful. It's a really beautiful thing. So thanks for bringing that up, Marwan.
And we have another question in the chat from Aaron. Are all the people getting assistance from eviction and back rent pay coming from the same pot of money?
Great question. Again, everything is a little complicated. The short answer is yes and no. So basically how our KEPA program is funded. It's funded from a variety of grants. So we have a lot of people locally call the TRAP, the Treasury Rent Assistance Program. So that comes from us, from Commerce. Then we have money directly from the Department of Treasury. So that's what we call ERA, Eviction Rent Assistance. Now, technically, those both originated at the Department of Treasury. One just took a little pit stop at Commerce and then came to us. So those are two pots of money. Then there's 1.0 and 2.0 of each of those pots. So now that's 4. Then there's the Eviction Rent Assistance Program. That was a CARES program that came from Commerce to us. We initially spent that one down, potentially coming back to add more funds. We also have our CDBG. That's the Community Development Block Grant. Now that program we've mainly used to help mortgage, because there's very little folks for low income, very little funds for low income mortgage holders to access. So that was a long way to say, but we don't expect anyone to keep track of that. And as far as a client, all you need to do is come in. We track all of that behind the scenes. That's really, our administrative burden, and that's totally fine. But just to give you some transparency, those are the pots of money. It's public information anyways. You can look that up on all of these contracts on the county's website. But those are the main pots of money that we're pulling from. That's not even to get into any of our homeless services. But for the eviction and back rent, yes, it's coming out of those pots. Now, we keep track of, like, the numbers I just told you from the legal partners, from the wait list, from the outreach partners. We keep track of all the funding that they do, right? We track that for a variety of reasons, but technically it all comes from those 5 pots right now, but could grow to 6 or 7 in the new year.
Absolutely. Man, like you're right. The questions today are fantastic. So please do keep them coming. Aaron says, awesome answer, Matt. So he appreciates I'll give you a horn for Aaron
Thank you.
there, for sure. And that's good information, right? I mean, you are a citizen here in this county, and you should understand how these funds are being used. And, listening to you, it's like, no mas. I mean, it's a lot to digest, and for people to understand how these programs work and all the nuances and the changes and this funding ran out, like I said before. Well, let's see if you can fit into this funding, and how can these things merge together? Trying to find these unique ways to meet the needs of the community.
Absolutely. And that's what I know it is really complicated. So we don't want anyone to get bogged down in the details. If you're interested, it's there as far as good governance and accountability and transparency, but we don't expect clients or anyone to track that or to understand the differences. That's all what we do behind the scenes, and happy to do it. And reporting is really good. And Marwan, like you said, I think it's really important for community members too. If you're curious, where these TAC dollars, where these programs are going, that's why on the KEPA website, they have a live tracker there of how much money they've spent. I announced some of the money here, and that's just to let you know of what all the good work is being done with tax dollars. So I think if you're interested, there is a lot of resources to know where that money is being spent, because it is doing really, really good stuff. So that's thank you for bringing that part of it up too, Marwan.
Yeah, and I think that's where the new ideas are going to come from, other folks getting it new and looking at things from a different lens, from a different perspective, and saying, hey, well, could we do this? Has anyone considered that? So those are where those solutions are going. If this was an easy question to solve, housing insecurity, homelessness, it would have been solved already. So definitely need all hands on deck and all ideas for sure.
Yeah.
Jump in there, Katie. You look like you want to say something there.
Oh, its delay is keeping me quiet over here. But I think it's interesting. Something very, very familiar when I hear Matt talk. It probably sounds like a foreign language to most, hearing all those acronyms. Even when he spells them out, there's just so many programs to keep track of. And with the names, that's one thing to keep track of. But think of all the rules that go with each program And you think of eligibility, preferences, and no, you can't do that. And something that caught my attention, Matt had said before, was if you're sleeping on a friend's couch, you're not technically homeless. So, there's little key points that we have to figure out before we can, give money, based on the program, based on the eligibility. So I'm sure it sounds like a foreign language, so we keep having to talk about it, and we have to talk about it in different ways almost. And if you're interested in numbers, go to the website, But if you're interested in hearing us talk about it, come to the conduit. There's so many different ways that we keep having to talk about it.
Yeah, and to that end, please do not assume you don't qualify for a program. Ask, ask, ask. Just because a friend or someone else accessed a program, it may not work for you the same way, but there may be something else for you. So you may hear, oh, I got rental assistance or I got this help. And it's like, but this person had kids or, they had some other qualifying, situation that made them eligible. Just don't throw your hands up and say there's nothing else. I mean, Matt went down the gambit of different programs. So please come in and ask questions because there's likely something that is there. And if there's nothing at Housing Solutions or KCR, then they can refer you to Bremerton Housing Authority or to another agency. Continue to ask. Please continue to ask. I can't stress that enough. Go ahead, Katie. Were you going to jump in there again?
One thing about rental assistance is a couple of years ago, the city of Bremerton also put in its budget a rental assistance program that the Bremerton Housing Authority actually manages, and we match it. So it's $100,000 each year from the city and $100,000 from Bremerton Housing Authority. So it's for those particular purposes where they're hitting those. Oh, I need to pay rent to keep my housing. We're trying to keep people in housing. So if you live within the city of Bremerton, you can call Bremerton Housing Authority directly and see if there's a program for you as well.
I love it. And you're on your phone. I don't know if it's easy enough for you to put that information in the chat, in the private chat, and I'll put it in there. If not, I'll look it up and.
Oh, I can do that. I can see if I can get there. I'll just send you the website. You can see it on the homepage.
Good. Okay. All right. So Matt, you just gave us a lot. You packed a lot. So I would definitely, for all you YouTube watchers out there, definitely put this one in your favorites because you're going to want to come back to this information. Matt, you want to talk about this flyer here that you sent me?
Yeah, well, do we want to keep going with
I'm sorry, you're not even ready yet. Let me
No. I'm fine. I was just wanting to say, because I know we're running past time. Do we want to put some of this stuff in next week's podcast? Because I still got a whole bunch of updates to talk about. What do you feel about time? Do you want to keep? I'm personally fine with time, but I just want to be sensitive to you and kind of what you thought for time wise.
Actually, it's up to you. I mean, I know you typically have something else going on right after this. I want to be mindful of that, but I'm living my best life. We do have another question before you jump in though. Upon receiving assistance, is that information public access? Nope, that's an old one. Sorry.
Okay.
What time next week? Aaron, every Monday at 3 p.m. Every Monday. And we started this this particular show, I think sometime in July or August. So if you go back, if you subscribe to the Conduit, you can go back and look at all the podcasts. Jill Stanton, who is the executive director of the Bremerton Housing Authority, usually comes on. Lauren Ressinger comes on. And now we have Carrie that comes on. So Katie, this is going to be 22 is going to be awesome. So just hang in there. You can't wait to see what we're going to roll out through this thing. We're working on getting some of the legal partners to come on. So they're working on that behind the scenes. So you'll have access to a I would say general legal advice, not actual legal advice, right? Because they won't be able to do that in a public space, but be able to give you a little bit more detailed information there. So definitely
Right.
stay tuned for that. So yeah, I'm good. Katie, can you stay on or do you need to go?
I think I'm here. I'm here to learn here, so I'm good.
All right. Well, if you want to keep going, let's do it. Does anyone want to
All
take
right.
a little break? I got a little commercial that I can put on while we get a drink or something. Let people
I'm
catch their
I'm
breath.
I'm good. I just want to make it sure. Yeah. Well, let's keep rolling.
All right. Well, then let's get on it. Let's do it.
All right, let's pull up that eviction flyer. So this is something we've been working on for a bit. Now I'm excited to talk about this. So this is a lot. This is the reason we made this is because our front desk. A lot of people were asking, "Hey, I got a 14-day notice, or I've got a summons, or I've got court papers, or where to go for help." And it's complicated because there's a lot more uh, um, resources out there now. There's a lot more procedures out there when people are evicted. And I think Marwan, you and I did a podcast a while ago where we kind of talked about the stages a little bit of the legal process, but we didn't actually have really a nice flyer. And so that's what this is that this is a kind of as concise as we can make it, is where to go depending on the stage that you're at. So that's why we're first, where to go. That's what it says. Eviction prevention assistance. So we're up first, KCR. If you're behind on rent with or without a legal notice, get on our wait list, right? You'll be placed on a wait list. And we've got our how to apply up there. And then we got the KEPA website up there too. That's at the bottom for more general information. So that's always should be the first step. And then if you scroll down, the next one is we've got the Eviction Resolution Pilot Program. So that's Dispute Resolution Center. So this is if you have a 14-day notice, a mediator can help you resolve that. So if you have a 14-day notice, they prefer email. This is where you go, and this is where you go to get referrals to us. So this is if they refer you over, that's how you can get pulled from the wait list and get priority access. So here's the Eviction Resolution Pilot Program. That's the next step. Then say that doesn't work, and then you actually get to you actually get a summons and complaint. You actually get paper to go to court. Very scary. If you are low income, you should qualify for right to counsel, and that's Kitsap Legal Services. So they do free legal assistance and representation for qualifying individuals. So you call, you email, or you've got their website right there. So that's where you go if you have a summons and complaint, or if you're actually going to court. Then at the bottom for general legal questions, or if you can't get in touch with Kitsap Legal Services or whatever it is, you can also call CLEAR. That's Northwest Justice Project. And they can give you some legal advice, or when appropriate, they might refer you over to the Kitsap Legal Services, the Eviction Defense Hotline. Yeah, and then they got the CLEAR number down there. That's how you access Northwest Justice Project. And then Northwest Justice Project put Washington Law Help on here, which I think is great. When I'm trying to get to the bottom of legal questions, the first thing I do is go to WashingtonLawHelp.org. They have a wealth of information. Marwan, I think you've even pulled them up sometimes when looking at issues. So there is so much there. There's also the Tenants' Rights Handbook. Every tenant should have that. Every tenant, that is your rights at the bottom there. And I think, are you pulling it up right now, Marwan?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is an immensely useful. It's made by Northwest Justice Project, and they have put a lot of time compiling a ton of resources. And so if you go to the house and apartment, they've got a bunch of other stuff there too, family. I think they've got some employment, but all the housing stuff is going to be under house and apartment.
So I see eviction, tenants' rights, homeowners, foreclosures, even more issues, which is a clickable link here.
Mhm.
Homelessness and shelters, mobile and manufactured homes. Didn't see that before. Buying a home, utilities, vouchers, subsidies, and rent assistance.
Absolutely. There is so much information here. If you just go to the eviction one real quick, just to kind of show the format.
All right.
Yeah, we could spend a whole podcast even just going through here. But yeah, so and if you just and so they have these blocks. This is typically how it's set up. So if you go to the basics, if you go kind of plus on the basics, then you get to click into articles. So this is kind of how they have it set up. Is a comp it basically is a compilation of articles about different topics, and almost all of them are really useful. Some of them are a tad long, but they do a good job of trying to be as concise as you can regarding legal help and information. And so you can, that first one is facing eviction, find legal help and rent assistance, right? So they even have some plugs for where to go.
And then, as you can see, it is translated into many different languages, which is fantastic. And also let you know you can still apply for rent assistance
Mm-hmm.
and
And
choose your county.
yeah, I
So,
think we should be listed on here. Let's see if we are.
yep, there we are. So for all of our listeners in King and Pierce County and neighboring counties, this works for everyone. So please take advantage of it. Let me go on down to Kitsap there. And eviction help in Kitsap County. And they have an eviction defense helper, a rent assistance, lawyers, negotiate, court info, interpreter, and ADA request. Start the helper right there. I think that is a good idea, Matt, for us to come in and go through one of these, even if it's a separate podcast, and just kind
Mm-hmm.
of do a tutorial on there. We were
Yep.
doing
So
that.
yeah, here you've got us. Yeah. So yeah, this is a really good resource, and yeah, maybe another time we could dive in there, and that hopefully should link to our website. Yep, there it is.
And it's pretty easy to navigate. That was a couple clicks and pretty straightforward, but it's always good to see it, right?
Yeah.
You hear a website and then you go and you look at it a week later and it's like, am I in the right place? Does this
Yeah.
look right? So it's kind
Yeah.
of good to have someone navigate that. And for me, just as a usually just as a computer literacy tip, when you click on a link, sometimes it'll open up in the same window. Oftentimes it may not. So this one did not. You can just hit the back button. And if you notice, if you're looking at my tabs across here, let me go ahead and close these. You can, as you're reading information, you can get lost. You look up 30 minutes and it's like, where did I originally start from? So we were looking at facing eviction, finding legal help. I will right click and open up in a new tab. And then I'll click this new tab and see where I was at. But if I want to go back to my original place, then I'm not lost. So that's really helpful. Usually websites do open up a new tab, but not all do. So it's just a note to take a look at that. And then here I went down to Kitsap County and I clicked there. And once I did that, we went down and we looked for KCR and apply online, which is a clickable link. And you'll know that because the arrow changed into a finger. I'll right click and I'll open that again. So again, I'm not lost. Here's where I fill in the information and hit submit, and someone will contact me. But this was the page before, and that was our original starting date.
Hey, Marwan, just FYI, I think you have a setting. I'm not able to see any of the scroll down or any of the right click menus that come up. So I don't know if you're just FYI.
It says exit full screen, back forward, reload, save as, print, cast, send to your devices, create a QR code, highlight with a marker, view page source or impact.
Okay.
And then another one has like open a link in a new tab, open link in a new window, open in incognito, yada yada, or save link as. You can do that too.
Cool.
Oh, which is kind of helpful. Like, let's say you're reading this information now and you're on this particular subject of eviction. You might open up a Google Doc or a Word doc, and you can save these links to your Word doc And so you're kind of creating your own readable list for later on. That might be that bedtime reading for you. It's a lot of info. It'll help you sleep if nothing else. And then boom, we're back at our original flyer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the whole gamut of resources, and I think this hopefully was somewhat helpful in just getting it's all the contact info and it's all the players that are part of our eviction process now, at least before it gets to the court. All of them are now represented here. So Marwan, Katie, please feel free to distribute as you will, as you see
And
fit.
absolutely. And FYI, these are the links that I have been scrolling throughout the podcast. So just kind of breaking it down for you. I may go back in later and number those so you kind of know what number in the step this is. And then I'll also make the link to this document available also so that you can have access to it. But if you want it, you know that you can reach out to KCR or you can reach out to us at G2 and we can get that information to you. And I do apologize. There were so many links today. We won't go back and read them if you're just listening to the podcast. But our email is gather the number 2 grow at G the number 2 G the number 2.org. But there were quite a few links there, so we would be reading forever. This is an awesome document, and if you notice too, folks, January 7th. So this is hot off the press here. I love it.
Yeah, we just got this approved from all the partners. You know, anytime you're doing stuff with a lot of people, it takes a bit to make. So I'm really excited to get that out and have that done.
For sure, for sure. Well, how about we save the rest for next week as our viewers are dropping. Folks got to pick up their kids and everything else, and I don't want them to miss it or to have too much information overload. You already blew their mind. You're a explosion. Go ahead, Katie, jump in there.
Oh, I'm excited about that flyer. I'm excited to just kind of like our first roadmap. Like, where do I go? What do I do? It's kind of it's a good step to getting people where they need to go in a simple one-page form. So exciting.
Absolutely. And I just put that in the chat for you, Katie, so you have it. And then you put a link in the chat that I need to go ahead and put down there. And so next week, we will continue with our conversation with the information because Matt has so much. And then it sounds like you might also get an opportunity to share with us some of the demographic numbers also. I'm interested in that. That would definitely be pretty awesome. Do stay tuned with the conversations that are going in the background to have our legal partners come on and have discussions with us as it is the new year. I can't believe it's already the 10th of January. It is flying. We need to slow down somehow, but it was just Halloween and now it's almost Valentine's Day. Oh man, what you gonna do? I mean, please, folks, we're all struggling and it's hard, but if you can stop and smell the roses, live in the moment when you can, definitely plan ahead for sure. Katie and then Matt, the final words of the day.
Sure. Just to kind of repeat what I had said earlier is there's a lot going on and there's a certain order that we have to do things. So just if you're wondering what's going on and submitted paperwork, go ahead and contact us, but know that we haven't forgotten you. So we're here for you. We just have to follow certain processes. And Bremerton Housing Authority really is trying to get as many people housed as possible. So thank you.
Absolutely. Don Michelle says, thank you, Matt and Katie. Matt, what you got? Final words?
What I said earlier, we don't accomplish anything alone. So I just want to express gratitude for all our partners, for you, Marwan and Katie. So thank you. Very humbled to work with such awesome people. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. We appreciate all you viewers out there tuning in today. Again, every Monday at 3 p.m. Bremerton Housing Authority and Kitsap Community Resources bringing you the latest and greatest information, answering questions that you may need. Dawn says, go team. We'll give a horn for that. If you haven't, please go ahead, subscribe, like, share, and set your reminders so you never miss a show. For Katie and Matt, I am Marwan. This is The Conduit, and we will see you next week.